What's up, guys? It's Ryan again. I'm not going to do an episode of Dinner and a Monster. This is what I'm going to call Story Time, which is basically a short segment, well, I say segment, but basically an episode where I tell you either about a personal experience or a funny story or whatever. Anyway, so this today is going to be what I call my Clerks story. For those who are wondering what I'm talking about, back in 1994, the famous Kevin Smith directed and was in a film called Clerks. And it's basically about, well, I'll get into that later. Okay, so if you haven't seen Clerks, this video isn't going to make a lot of sense. But if you have, it's going to make perfect sense. And it's actually going to be a couple of short stories that have to do with Clerks, or actors or characters from Clerks. Alright, so like I said, Clerks came out in 1984, and in 1999 I worked at a video store, and I had not seen the movie yet. At that time, I was at that age that I was just like, I was one of those kids who was like, oh, it's black and white, it can't be any good, and it's super popular, and I'm a nonconformist. Alright, I know. And so I hadn't seen it at this time. Well, anyway, so I worked at a place called Video Wonderland, which was in Alpharetta, Georgia, and it was, I'm talking, this is how long ago it was VHS, so it was actually 20 years ago this year. And in that same shopping center, there was a gas station. Now, I do not recall off the top of my head what gas station it was anymore, because that was a long time ago. And of course, attached to said gas station was a convenience store. Now, I just want to give you that little bit of background because of something weird that happened today. So, some of you may or may not know that I work in the paint department of a Home Depot. And that's why another reason I have to be careful about some of the stuff I talk about, because you know how businesses are now. Anyway, so I'm making paint for a gentleman, and he asked me my name, which is not uncommon for customers to ask your name, because sometimes they want to, fill out the survey, or someone recommended that they talk to you or whatever. And I tell him, well, my name is Ryan, and he's kind of goes, you don't remember me, do you? Well, obviously, I didn't remember him, because he didn't look anything like what he used to look like. And so he goes, you used to work at the video store. And at first, I thought, oh, it's someone I used to work with at the video store. So I started kind of, like, there was only one guy within my age range that worked at the video store at that time, and his name was Rafe. And it turned out it wasn't him, but he was the only thing I could think of. And he goes, the gas station. And I went, oh my gosh, Luis. Okay, so here's the story part of that's related to Clerks. Like I said, I worked at the video store, and Luis worked at the convenience store just at the front of the shopping center. So I worked Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. by myself. There was not a soul that came in there until, as far as like the boss or anything, and no other workers came in until about 5:30, sometimes right at 6 o'clock. So when it would come time for me to eat lunch, I would usually either call it in to the restaurant that was at the end, or I would go to the Chinese restaurant. I would lock up the store, and I would usually have my lunch at the convenience store with Luis. Okay? Again, I had not seen Clerks at this point. So, because I would lock it up and go eat with the dude in the convenience store, and again, we were just friends. It was never anything more than that. It's just we had a lot in common, and we enjoyed talking to each other. Well, I actually haven't talked to Luis since then, because the way I lost my job at the video store was actually the store manager passed away from a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken, at 36 years old. So he was, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we hadn't spoken in 20 years. And so for him to remember me, it was like, have I not changed? But apparently I have not, from what people have told me. Even people I went to high school with, teachers I have, they always recognize me. Well, anyway, one of my closest friends, Colin, uh, started making jokes about me being like Randall Graves from Clerks because of that. So technically, Lewis and I were Dante and Randall. And I didn't see, gosh, I can't even tell you when I finally saw Clerks. Colin probably made me watch it. So I don't know exactly. But when I finally saw it, I really did enjoy it, and I ended up seeing Clerks 2 and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so I just thought it was kind of funny because literally 1999, I was working at that video store, and 2019, 20 years later, to the year, I run in, or Luis comes into my store, and it was crazy. So that was story number one, because I thought that was pretty funny and cool. So anyway, even after that, Colin used to tease me about being Randall. And I don't know if it was my love of Return of the Jedi and Star Wars, or if it was the fact that I just kind of said whatever I wanted to, and I really didn't care how other people felt. And I still am kind of like that. So we're going to fast forward to 2007. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say that. It's 2008. Yes, 2008, because it was the year my stepdad passed away. In 2008, there was a Atlanta SuperCon. It only lasted 1 year. A lot of drama, a lot of stuff happened, so and they never had another one. Well, anyway, so I go to the SuperCon, and actually I was helping out. I was I was the handler for James Urbaniak, which some of you may know as Dr. Venture. But I also helped with Doc Hammer as well, which was pretty cool. So I got to meet them and everything. But anyway, so while I was there, when I wasn't having to babysit, I saw Brian O'Halloran. And I was like, dude, that's the dude from Clerks. That's Dante, right? So I went up to him and just started talking. We ended up like kind of hanging out at the convention. I mean, we connected on very very platonic level, definitely. Because convention hookups, no. So we ended up hitting off, and it was really awesome. And he's a super cool guy. And I don't even think we really talked about Clerks. I did get his autograph. And what he wrote on it was a little inappropriate, so I never could like display it or show my mom like, look what I got, because again, a little inappropriate. But anyway, so that was in 2008, and again, we talked for a long time, and it was really cool. I loved hanging out. In fact, I kind of wanted to hang out at his table the whole time because he was so interesting. That was also the year that Carrie Means, for those that like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, he was Frylock. He actually walked us to walked my friend Lucy and I to the MARTA station because he wanted to make sure that we made it there okay. And for those of you who have been to Atlanta and have ridden MARTA, we were at the MARTA station off of, I can't never remember. I think it's North Avenue, Moreland Avenue. It's the one near Georgia Tech. So that's not always the safest spot. So it was really cool that we had, Carrie Means, Frylock himself, to be our knight in shining armor to make sure that the two ladies made it to the MARTA safe. And that was super cool. So one of the last things that I had told Brian, like before we parted ways, was if you were ever in Atlanta again, look me up and I'm going to take you to the Varsity. Okay? Let me explain this really quick. The Varsity is a restaurant, it's a greaseball restaurant, but it is like a staple of Atlanta, and anyone who visits Atlanta needs to visit the Varsity. They have food like, okay, yeah, it's granted, it's cheeseburgers, it's hot dogs, it's French fries, but it's an atmosphere, it's an ambiance, and the food is fantastic. And if you're ever stopped up, eat at the Varsity. There are varsity juniors around, which are all right, but if you can eat at the varsity, you're really in for a treat. They have this thing called the frosted orange, which is basically a milkshake version of a creamsicle, and they also have chocolate milk on ice, which is called a PC. It's so great. There's things there that you wouldn't think about ordering, and then you do, and you're just wow. But yeah, I love eating there. I don't get to do it that often anymore, but I remember we used to do a lot on field trips from school. So I told him that, and then, I got home and I friend requested him on Facebook thinking, he's not going to accept my friend request. He probably doesn't remember who I am. And he accepted my friend request. So I was like, that's really super cool. So fast forward almost 10 years later, 2014, so 7 years later. My bestie, Audra, who I'm giving a shout out to you, Audra, she knew I'd never been to New York, and she wanted to do something super special for me because, honestly, she understands that there's a period of my life where the world seemed to really be crapping on me, and everything was just a mess, and it was going downhill, and I was depressed and all this stuff. So Audra swoops in and scoops me up and saves me with my very first trip to New York ever in 2014 for Christmas. So we left on December 26th, and Audra, myself, and an ex-friend who I'm not going to even, I'm not going to mention the names, whatever, it's just, it's gone. So we're going to New York. Well, I remember that Brian lives in New York, or, somewhere around New York. I wasn't sure exactly where. He lived somewhere in there, Jersey, New York, somewhere at the time. And so we had just finished watching a play. I don't remember, I can't remember what all we went to see, to be honest. I think we saw two different things. The three of us saw something together, and then we each individually saw something that we had wanted to see. And so after the play was over, we were waiting for Audra to come out, and I messaged Brian on Facebook, and I said, hey man, I'm in New York right now. Would you, you want to go hang out, want to go get dinner, whatever? And I'm thinking he's not, he's a busy guy, he's famous, he's not going to have time for me, whatever. Well, he messages me back. I apologize for that noise, by the way. That's my dog whining, and I don't know why he's whining. He likes to do that sometimes when I'm, hold on one second. Alright, so sorry about that. I just let him out the door, and he should be good. But, so anyway, so, like I was saying, I messaged Brian on Facebook Messenger, hey, I'm in New York, blah, blah. Okay, so I wait. I'm thinking, again, he's famous. He's not going to have time to answer me. Well, about maybe 10 minutes later, if that, I get a response, and it is from him. And he's like, sure, he goes, right now. And he says the most, like, New York thing you could possibly say, or whatever you want to say, or whatever you want to call it. He's like, I'm at a Rangers game at Madison Square Gardens, but after that, we can meet at this place called Stout. Now, it's a pub. Now, let me tell you one thing I love about at least the, Manhattan area of New York. In New York, a block is legitimately a block. It's not that in Atlanta. In Atlanta, blocks are done completely different, and everything is Peachtree in Atlanta. Peachtree Road, Peachtree Avenue, Peachtree Street, North Peachtree, West, it's insane. But here it's numbered, 33rd Street, 42nd Street, whatever. So it will take you 1 minute roughly to get from one block to another, which was awesome because he was like, yeah, meet me at Stout. I know it was on 33rd, but I don't remember what the cross street was. So we were like, okay, and the ex-friend who was with us, I had a feeling she kind of doubted that I really, first of all, really knew him, and second of all, that he was going to show up. But I don't understand why I would be lying about something like that. Like, but there are people that lie about a lot dumber things. So anyway, so we meet back up with Audra, and we end up at Stout, and we waited probably a good hour. The good thing is the Rangers game was actually on the television there, so we could see when it ended. So we're sitting there and we're waiting, and I think we ordered some food or something. And then all of a sudden I see a gentleman come in. It turned out to be Bob, and Bob is amazing. And behind him pops up Brian, which I thought was just hilarious. I was just like, wow, really? We're 12? But it was funny. And so Brian sits down, we have a conversation, we have fun, and I never really talked about Clerks stuff with him, and I felt like an idiot doing it, but I figured, you know what, I'm just going to ask him. And I said, my friend Colin has always compared me to Randall Graves, right? And Brian gives me this beautiful response that caused Colin to crack up, okay? Brian looks me straight in the eye and says, I can see why. What? And basically he tells me that because I have no filter. Okay, let me explain something. I want this channel to be family friendly. So I do have a filter because I turn the filter on for this channel. Now, after, you know, when I'm at work or outside of YouTube and my nieces aren't around, the filter does get turned off. I am a lot less family friendly as far as the way, you know, I speak. Now, I've always been very upfront with people. I've always been very blunt. So if that's not having a filter, then yes, I definitely don't have a filter because I don't feel that I should lie to people. If I don't like you, I can be nice about it, and just kind of be like, you know, this friendship isn't working out. Best of luck to you. It's just, you know, whatever. Or I can be a real jerk about it. But so yeah, so he said that, and I was just kind of like, dang it. When the man who plays Dante tells you that you are like Randall, you just kind of accept it. And so at that moment, you know, it took him confirming it, and I was like, you know what, fine, I will just be Randall, that's fine. Anyway, so, you know, we did Stout and all that stuff. Well, they had to get back. Oh, I did get to hear Brian karaoke War Pigs, which is really cool. So after that, we're going to fast forward to 2016. We didn't, because I went to New York Comic Con in 2015, and he was going to be gone or something. I'm not really sure. But I also did talk to Bob, like we're friends on Facebook too, because Bob is hilarious. And so, fast forward to 2016, January, I get a message on my Facebook from Brian saying, hey, I'm going to be in Atlanta these dates if you want to hang out. Okay, so my late friend Mark was a huge fan of Clerks, huge fan. And so I told him, hey, you know, do you want to hang out with Brian? At that point, we were like best, you know, me and Mark were like best friends, so that was going to be great. And he fangirled, and it was really nerdy, but it's okay. So we took Brian to the varsity, and he enjoyed it. And one thing that is funny is it's like a generational thing. So we're sitting there, and there's a party of little old ladies, I would say probably late 70s, and they're all kind of sitting in one of the booths, and they keep looking over at Brian, and I'm thinking it is impossible for them to know who he is. Impossible. They wanted him to take a picture for them so that they could all be in the picture. And I'm sorry, but that was hilarious because it's just so, like, I don't know, it was almost surreal. Oh, and that was the other thing. Brian was on a diet at that point because there was the promise of Clerks 2, which, due to certain individuals, isn't going to happen. Thank you. But that's fine too. But, so, you know, he enjoyed the varsity and all this stuff, and, I haven't seen him since, so it's been about 3 years. Yeah, 3 years now. But I still get Christmas cards, and we still exchange Christmas cards. Even though I kind of sent him a sarcastic one this year because I wasn't expecting one, so I sent him one back. It was kind of sarcastic because I was like, now I had to go out and brave Walmart traffic to go get Christmas cards because I didn't have any. But in becoming friends with Brian, when I was at a convention, maybe it was later that year, I don't quote me on this, I don't remember, but I actually got to strike up a conversation with Jason Mewes, who played Jay, which is really cool. He's a really cool guy. I met him in 2000, I think, and that was when he wasn't sober, and you could tell, and now you can tell you have his attention. He's very you know, he's very easy to talk to now. And at first he was a little like, oh, who are you? And then I was like, I'm, you know, Brian's friend, blah, blah, blah. And then it was instantly he opened up. So that was really cool. And I was like, so I know Dante and I know Jay, and now I just need to know Silent Bob. So Kevin, if you happen to watch this video, you know, come on, bro, what's up? And of course Randall himself, because there's got to be a picture of me and Jeff Anderson because it's a Randall thing. I'll even dress like Randall. I don't care. I just think it would be funny. But so anyway, yeah. So this is my Clerks stories. I think that's basically all my Clerks stories. And I guess it fits because there's going to be a new, I think it's another Jay and Silent Bob movie, if I'm not mistaken, because there was going to be a Mallrats 2, there was going to be a Clerks 2, and I think they're going with Jay and Silent Bob. I don't know all the details on that because, you know, I don't keep up with all that very well. But, so yes, I think that's it. So I'm hoping that Brian and Bob and maybe even Kevin will watch this because I think that they will get a kick out of these funny stories that I have, and what a vivid memory I have about things. So anyway, so I've done like a 16, 17, 20 minute video, I don't know, because I had to stop it for the dog. So I guess I'll be on my way now, and if you like story time, please let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe, and again, continue to whore out my my page because I want to continue giving you guys content, and you know, I would love to hear from you. And I did have a few takers on another segment or episode that I'm going to do in the future, but I only had a couple so far, so I'm waiting to hear from more because I want to make it a full episode. So I guess I will be talking to you guys later, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I do hope you enjoyed the stories, and don't forget,